Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Four Brothers podcast. But today, we decided, to have just two of the brothers. You have Chuck, the Tough Duck, and Alex, the Soup.
What's up, everybody?
And then Stewie, the Monster.
What's up?
Here with us. So today, we wanted to talk about, some of the things that happened during Raw a couple weeks ago. On the old school Raw, especially the shocking ending. Which for those of you that didn't see it, one of the greatest wrestlers from the 1980s made a shocking return at the end. Which I'm going to start off with because that's the main topic we want to talk about. First I want to say I'm a Jake Roberts fan. And, just to see him in the WWF, he's one of those guys that no matter what he does, he gives you goosebumps. Just the possibility of him coming in. If all he does is, just pulls his stake out, everybody's marking out for him. Everybody in the audience was like, there's no way that guy's here. I thought he was dead. Well, what's your thoughts on that, Alex?
Well, I've been watching Jake the Snake dating way back to the 80s, and in the 80s, he was one of the best heels there was. Just could get a crowd riled up so much. They could just hate him so much. And even when he turned face, was a big fan favorite. And he always had this evilness about his look and the way he moved and the way he wrestled. And it just sold the character. I've been a Jake the Snake fan for a long time. And it was really sad to see a lot of what happened to him in his later years and later career. And it's really good to see a lot of the turnaround he's made in the past year. I know I've been following him on Facebook for a while now, just watching the transformation. Pretty sure you've been following it too.
Yeah, well, for those of you that don't know, he went to DDP. He actually lives with Diamond Dallas Page. Him and Scott Hall, they've been in recovery for the last year or so, and it seems like this is the one thing that stuck for both of them. You know what I mean? It gave them a second chance on life. Because Scott Hall was 10 times worse than DDP, and Scott Hall, if you look at him too, you gotta go, wow, he's improved so much.
Yeah, we went to Frank and Sons a few years back. They were having some different wrestlers there signing autographs, and there was this old, beat up, almost looked homeless man just kind of walking around, and Walter said, "Hey, look, it's Jake the Snake." And I'm like, "You crazy? That's not Jake the Snake." And it just looked like this old, just decrepit, on the verge of death guy. And when we got up close, it's like, oh my God, that is Jake the Snake. What happened? And then to see him on Raw, looking healthy again, cleaned up, looking like he's losing weight, getting back in shape. It's just great to see, and it's amazing whatever DDP's program is that he has going, it's really helping these guys.
I know. Well,
And one of the things that's been going on with Jake the Snake is there's an online campaign to get him into the Royal Rumble. Personally, I think it would just be awesome to see. Obviously, it's not a situation where he's going to win. But just to see him perform again on that huge stage in the WWE, it would just be awesome to see.
Yeah, I know. Well, one of my greatest memories is, a couple of years back, Bret Hart, he had his last SummerSlam match a couple of years back, And all he did was his moves, his set of like 4 or 5 moves. But growing up as a Bret Hart fan, and to see him live in like one of his last matches, that was one of the greatest moments I've had as a wrestling fan. It wasn't that he put on the best match, but it's that the little he did was just so awesome in that one match. Well,
Well, I think it goes back to where it'll bring back the memory of watching him when you were younger. And I think the thing with Jake the Snake too is I think wrestling gave him the motivation to get healthy again, be fit and come back, do the show like he used to.
I know. I know. Well, I know a couple of years ago, Jake the Snake actually retired from in-ring wrestling. So I don't know. Even if he's in good enough shape, he can never really.
Well, if you follow his Facebook, he actually has wrestled in a few matches recently.
Since it.
Yeah, he's been training to try and get into the Royal Rumble, and he's actually wrestled at some independent cards recently to get back into ring shape.
It'd be awesome to see him in there.
And another thing that has been discussed with his drug use and just the way he kind of hasn't been even
Reliable.
a thought
Oh.
for the Hall of Fame. But now there's discussion of possibly seeing him in the Hall of Fame. Do you think that's something they should do this year or hold off a few years to see? You know what I'm saying? Just kind of wait and see type of thing.
Yeah, well, one of the problems this year is Jake the Snake he's one of those guys who is a top draw Hall of Fame. Like, you can't, Ultimate Warrior is the lead guy this year. Jake the Snake, even though he was a champion or anything, Jake the Snake, people will pay to see him inducted into the Hall of Fame. Jake the Snake has that big of a fan base still. So I think they're gonna wait until another year to do it.
Well, and also I think if they're going to induct him into the Hall of Fame, they might wait a little bit to make sure he stays clean so they can do it and have him healthy when he's inducted.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things is hopefully Jake the Snake might be able to help people backstage. You know what I mean? Because Jake the Snake, that he originally wanted to do that. And, his demons, whatever happened, his demons interrupted that. Hopefully now that he's shown he's sober, he can go backstage and help the next generation. He's actually a second generation star. His dad was a pro wrestler. His dad was actually Grizzly Smith. So his knowledge of the wrestling business, is just huge. He knows more about the wrestling business than most of the wrestlers out there today.
Yeah, definitely. He could definitely make a big difference in the locker room, helping out new and up and coming stars. My opinion is he's ready for the Hall of Fame, and I'm kind of disappointed that the Ultimate Warrior is the focus of this year's Hall of Fame because, yeah, the Ultimate Warrior in his time was kind of a meteoric rise, larger than life superstar, but it was for a very short time. He was not a lasting figure in the world of professional wrestling, and kind of some of the things he did in the sport were dirty, underhanded, just unacceptable things. So I would think taking someone like Jake the Snake and putting him in this year and making the focus more on him than the Warrior would add more validity to the Hall of Fame induction. To have the focus on someone like the Ultimate Warrior, who did so little for such a short period of time, even though it was on a higher status than any other wrestler besides Hulk Hogan had done at the time, he didn't have that lasting power, and he did a lot of things that were wrong to the wrestling business.
Well, yeah, I know what you mean. Like, there's a lot of names I will put before the Ultimate Warrior, and I'm actually an Ultimate Warrior fan, you know what I mean? I was 5 or 6 when Ultimate Warrior was big, so, you know, him versus Hogan was a big deal for, you know, children at the time. But, the only other person I would have included in that for that time frame is Savage. I think those three together, Hogan, Savage, and Warrior, are the three that stick out in my mind for that time frame that you kind of go, they're just so gigantic that you can't even really question. You have to question why somebody like Savage isn't in the Hall of Fame yet.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who get ignored every year on the Hall of Fame thing, but the thing is, there's so many people out there that you could just keep naming people and realize that, yeah, they should be in the Hall of Fame, they should be, and then realize, well, they only put so many in a year. Somebody who you think deserves it's going to be left out, no matter what.
Yeah, what it is the first year they did it, Andre died, and the first inductee was Andre the Giant, and then every year after that it was 7 a year.
Yeah, and they do different categories, so some of the people, you look at them and you get upset, like, how can they put, the comedian.
Oh, Drew Carey?
Yeah, how can they put Drew Carey in? But then you realize, well, they have these different categories that they have to fill. So you can't really be mad that they're putting Drew Carey in, because it's not like they would leave Drew Carey out and put Macho Man. He's going into the celebrities who've contributed. So it's going to be another person like Drew Carey if it's not Drew Carey. It's not going to be the Macho Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with the Hall of Fame, they just have to pick and choose with sections and who goes into it.
Yeah, I believe Jake deserves it within the next couple of years if he doesn't go in this year. I think there's a strong chance they will put him in this year, but you never know what's going to happen in the WWE.
Well, I just want to thank all of our listeners for listening to our show tonight. You know, I just want to say good night and good day, and I want you all to tune in next week. This same Four Brothers podcast. I was trying to think of the rest of that line. What is it from Mad Men? Tune in this same bad channel, the same bad time next week.
Yeah, you just butchered that whole thing.
It would have been funny though if I would have said it right. Okay.
All right, everybody. Have a good week.